We're recording. So good morning, Emina.
Good morning.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I've got my red mug today.
I got my cat today. Look, it's the one that you got me.
There we go. Yeah, it's a good one. So yeah, welcome again, everybody, and ourselves, of course, to SEOs Getting Coffee, where we take a little bit of time each week just to have a brief SEO discussion about things going on in the SEO world or things that we've been working on that are interesting. I think this week is probably just going to be taken up mostly with the recent. Well, I think that we have an alligator in the room.
Right.
And we should talk about the alligator in the room.
We have two alligators having coffee. We should rename ourselves into either goblins or alligators. But one of the things that you don't know is that we have a new member of the SEO team that I have just hired. So he's coming in to help me out because obviously, I mean, if we're alligators,
there we go.
It's fair. It's only fair.
Very detailed craftsmanship on that little toy. Is it like a toy model one?
Yeah, it's like my daughter's toy alligator. Look at that.
Okay, well we can now repossess this. This is now ours.
yeah. I'll bring it into the office.
Yeah, it can be in our office.
Yeah,
a new mascot.
He does SEO apparently better than me because you know he's an alligator.
So to give some context for people that don't know, there's an article been released this week by, actually I've got it open so I could share my screen, and it's this article by the Verge, and the title of the article is "The People Who Ruined the Internet." And essentially it's come across as a bit of an attack on the SEO community and SEOs, but the reaction to this has been quite interesting, and following the reaction to this is because obviously the SEO community at being attacked by this article has responded in a variety of ways. There's obviously people that agree with it and people that disagree with it. On the whole, I find that most people disagree with it, but I'll open it out to Emina straight away to start the conversation.
Oh my God. I mean, when I read this, first of all, it is the longest article that I have ever read. And it took me like ages to read. And then after I read it, I thought to myself, what have I just done? I love the fact that the whole thing is about SEOs and kind of these practices of clickbaiting and other practices, we're like compared to goblins. And then at the same time, this article is very much a clickbait. And very much, it's so sensationalized. There's so many, things are coming out from people who have been mentioned and spoken to, like Danny Sullivan and Lily Ray and the others, where they are literally kind of saying that a lot of it hasn't been fact checked, or the facts that were in there have been distorted. And that kind of journalism and the whole thing. It could have been published in the Daily Mail.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing really, is that I think why there's been such a stink about it is probably because it is sensationalist kind of journalism. It's purposefully controversial, because the only winner here really is that website. They're getting tons of traffic to this article, and it's all over the internet. It's trending, so it's a success. It's a case study for success of how you drive traffic. But it is, it's exactly the shady kind of tactics or spammy type tactics of getting clicks and traffic to a website which has ads, displayed on it incidentally as well. So it's all a little bit controversial in the sense that it's a bit contradictory.
It's hypocritical. It's
and hypocritical. Yeah, I think that's the main thing why a lot of people are annoyed. But of course, as SEOs and what a lot of people, we tend to take these things obviously very personally and a bit too seriously. Whereas I'd take it with a pinch of salt. And I think like if you don't, if we didn't want, we wouldn't be talking about it now if we were kind of like really like don't talk about it and don't give them the attention. But like even us talking about it obviously is creating more of a a buzz around it because we're responding to it, right? So that's the truth of it, is that this is the intended outcome of creating such a piece and having such a controversial statement like that, and also a statement as well that doesn't really correspond to the actual article content as well. It's just a clickbait headline. It doesn't actually correspond to the theme of the article, which kind of trails on many different narratives, and by the end of it I'm not really sure of the author's conclusion. I mean, and that's just through one read through. I'd have to read it again a few times, but there doesn't seem to be any kind of conclusion to it. There doesn't seem, and also the majority of it is based like years and years ago when the SEO industry was in its infancy. And
this is it. Why I'm like reacting to it this way is because I feel like it's a lost opportunity for a discussion that is quite relevant these days around Google and Google search, and whether what's happening in search, whether we're moving towards helpful content or are we moving away from it, and kind of the whole question around AI generated content and all of that. So it could have, if it didn't take this very sensationalist way of talking about it, we could have had like a proper discussion about it. But now, I mean, I'm hoping that all of this initial kind of very understandable reactions by the SEO world of saying, look, I mean, you basically are talking about something that was ages ago. Most SEOs do not work like that. And
yeah, I think that's one of the key things that I picked up on, was that
the discussion.
Say that again.
I said I'm hoping that after this initial kind of defensiveness, which is understandable, that it does do that thing that hopefully I'm hoping that I don't think it was the point. I think the point was to get us all riled up. But what comes out of it could still be positive. If we about things that are important here, not about, I don't have a Lamborghini. I don't know. Where's my Lamborghini, Sean?
Well, that's exactly, that's the key thing, is that I think that one of the it kind of hints towards that as well at some point, but it doesn't really kind of go. It's almost like it's a long article, but then it almost runs out of time to explore other issues, because obviously it's a very, very complex world and a complex industry that is very difficult to understand, because for a long time, and still, like SEOs do have, and SEO does have this aura of like magic, like in terms of like, well, how do you do that? Like, how do you get it to, because people take years of training and testing and experience to understand how they do get those types of results, because they train themselves to understand how to actually achieve that by what kind of content do I need to produce to be able to get high ranking, blah blah blah, right? It's years and years of expertise. These days, right, it wasn't the same way back when. It could be more easily manipulated, so you could learn one or two tricks, and then there you go. You can make bank off like a website that is like a low cost website, make bank off that, and then that website goes down, gets hit, and then you make another one, and then you kind of rinse and repeat. It's not like that anymore. You need to put a lot more effort in. There's still people, and there's still the system that can be exploited, and there's people that obviously do exploit that, and there's still these things that do go on, but nowhere near to the extent of then. And the key thing, I think, is that the majority, I think it's just this idea that like, you know, or you know, 80, I think there's 80% of SEOs or something like that. It's like, well, I can't remember who it's, I just don't know. I don't think so. I think it's the reversal. I think that the majority of SEOs and the majority of people working in SEO are actually doing it for, like, you know, they're good SEOs and they're trying to do the best, and they're trying to do everything for their clients, for their own websites, you know, and they're working morally, you know, they're, and that's where it goes to from me, is that like SEOs should not be blamed for ruining the internet, because of course they didn't. The majority of SEOs have actually made the internet a better place, because we all spend so long trying to make better content that's more helpful to people, that educates and helps people answer the questions that they're looking for, you know. And that's the key, is that I think actually like SEOs do a tremendous job in making the internet a much better place on the whole. Of course, in any industry, you always have people that exploit that. That's the truth.
Yeah, I love
So,
the, you know, and that's the thing. It's like, so I studied journalism, and if there was any industry that had the respect but also the slack, it's the journalistic industry. So it's really disappointing to have somebody who is supposed to be a journalist produce an article that is so one-sided that even when she spoke to like Lily Ray, for example, she had little jabs about, you know, her hair and about her dog, and it was just the whole thing.
it's
And
like,
then
it's
the
little details that don't really actually make a difference, you know.
yeah,
It's
but
not about what
they
somebody looks like,
do.
or you know.
The thing is that they do. I mean, like when you're studying journalism, in journalism ethics, those are the things that you learn that shouldn't be done. I mean, in my journalism ethic course, one of the major things was about like, so for example, I come from Croatia, and one of the issues with our journalists was this kind of ethnocentrism, nationalism side of things. And one of the things that journalists used to do is put a nationality with like sensationalist stories. So you would have a man steals a bike when it's somebody, it's a Croat, and a Serbian man steals a bike when it's somebody from Serbia. And there's a difference there. You know, you are literally
Yeah.
putting in sensationalist words. So it's the same tactic that has been used here. And that's really disappointing, because
I think that's the thing. It creates that. I think obviously I can understand the attempt to try and build a picture of what the characters of the industry, because, you know, there are some SEOs out there who do have that kind of rock star feel, right? There's like a couple of SEO rock stars who everybody kind of likes to go and see at the conferences and likes to follow, and you know that they're, and there is that general, you know, that there is that side, that glitz and glam to the industry. With any industry, there's always like your people like that, right? And that's fine. And I can understand trying to communicate that in a way that builds a picture in your head with the writing that kind of, you know, tries to communicate, well, these are the types of characters that are involved in SEO, but it's kind of almost done in a negative way, that like
yeah,
this somehow informs people's opinions, like what somebody can't, what some because somebody's got tattoos and piercings or whatever, you know, what that automatically makes them somebody who's what, shady. That's not true.
it's not
You know.
just that. It's like who you are as a person has been taken as connected to your profession, which is just like the ethics there is just completely, it's muddled and it's wrong. But coming back to the actual discussion of what was in that article and some of the points that were made, I mean, I don't disagree that Google search and the results that we have these days, not for everything, but for a lot of things, are not the best, which is partly why we're seeing all of these updates. I mean, today, another update, November update. We had one like, what, in October? So, you know, it's not, and I don't see it as a bad thing. You know, I think this is an algorithm. You need to tweak it. It needs to learn. You need to update it. I mean, as an SEO, I hate the fact that now I have another update and I have to kind of watch what's going on with the clients. But I'm not worried because, you know, maybe it's rose-colored glasses again. And I think, you know,
Yeah, but I think that's the truth is that if you know you're only really should be worried if you're worried that like you are going to get hit by it because you've been doing things that are not necessarily like by the guidelines, you know. If you've really been doing kind of like, you know, tactics which go against Google's guidelines, that's when you tend to worry more about the updates. But actually, if you're just spending your time producing good content and trying to actually, you know, give people the actual value that they're searching for, then actually you shouldn't be worried about algorithm updates, because if your content is good and it's helpful and it's actually, you know, then you should by and large be okay. And you should, you know, yeah, you might have to do tweaks occasionally and whatnot, but by and large you shouldn't have that much worry about it.
Yeah, exactly, this is it. And that you know, that article makes it sound like all we do is like try and cheat the algorithm, which is just, I mean,
exactly, that's why it's like kind of such a disconnect, is that it just does not speak for the SEO community. That's the truth of it. It does not give a fair reflection of what the SEO community is today and how important SEO is within corporations and within business. Like, you know, the you know, there's people in high positions up in corporations that solely focus, you know, and it's understood as being an incredibly important source of the marketing department, you know, and marketing of any company, that you have got people who are, you know, in kind of, you know, high positions up in companies that are well respected. You know, so yeah, it's been an interesting one, hasn't it, really?
yeah, interesting week. Are we 404ing something? And I bet I know what we're 404ing after all of this. I think I'll
Yeah.
invite our junior member to come and participate in this 404ing here.
Yeah, I mean, I think on final thoughts, I think, you know, the SEOs here have been given a bad rep, that it's like it's all their fault, right? But it doesn't. I mean, but it needs to jump on this. It's just like, well, yeah, but they've made a fraction. Like even the guys that have exploited it and they've made millions and they've sold businesses, blah 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 blah, whoever, right? They've made a fraction of what Google's made, you know, and what Google, you know, and this is the thing, is that like, well, they're all, do you know what I mean? It's like it's almost like it's heavily kind of put on the side of like, well, the SEOs, it's the SEOs fault. It's like, well, we're not, we're all playing the same, you know, we're all in the same field, we're all trying to play the same game, you know, to try and, you know, basically get better rankings on Google. But the way that you do that, it isn't in the sense of like, you know, it isn't in the sense that you know, you're kind of trying to game the system, although some people do. The truth is that you just need to produce helpful content and produce good content and good websites. That's the simplicity of it. But
And you know, coming back from just as a closing kind of thought, coming back to what we are doing here, you know, we are part of like the marketing mix. We're part of we're trying to help businesses earn revenue, you know, that is kind of the purpose of it. It's not.
yeah.
And why is that wrong? That's like saying
This exactly.
any profession that works for a business and is trying to kind of is doing something, you know, seedy.
Yeah. I think if you think about all of, I mean, this is where the comparison, yeah, you think about all those guys and people that have made off with, well, it seems like, you know, wads and wads of cash, carrying it in a, in a rucksack running down the street, or in a sack running down the street like a cartoon. But actually, if you compare that to, well, think about every single local SEO consultant, think about, you know, freelance SEOs, think about all these people that work with businesses in the whole kind of ecosystem, in the, you know, of commerce, you know, all the businesses that have worked with an SEO, that have, you know, small businesses, family-run businesses that have generated revenue via SEO for small and medium businesses throughout the whole entire world. how much money has been created for people and put into people's pockets. It's put people's, children through education. It's probably paid for people's medical bills. It's given people a better quality of life
And
through
mostly good tactics,
through
most
good SEO work.
good SEO work.
So collectively, collectively, yeah, okay, you've got these people who've made, on the bad side, but actually how much has been made on the good side by the good SEOs for the plethora of businesses that are out there, from your small kind of independent shops on your local high street to your kind of regional businesses that have from anywhere between small and medium SEO budgets that have worked with SEOs that have turned their businesses around. You see these success stories time and time and again where you're changing, you're increasing profits by like 50%, or you're increasing revenue by 50%, and profits go with that. And you've got these improvements that happen through SEO work, as well as other marketing as well. But anyway, 404, room 404. We could put this article in there, couldn't we?
I mean, look, maybe I should ask our newest team member. Seriously, that article needs to go to 410. I mean, I'm really thinking.
But I mean, hopefully it will create more discussion, and I think that's the key thing, is that it's good to have articles like this in a way, because obviously it creates this discussion, but it brings the community together as well, so we all know that actually no, we're not like that. That isn't a fair reflection on us, and it will bring us together to say, well, these are the things that we're trying to achieve, and this is how we're trying to achieve them. And actually the positive spin is that, well, no, it's wrong, this is incorrect, and actually Google and SEOs and good SEOs are doing the work that they can to make the internet a better place and produce good content. So yeah, I'm not sure if I excuse me, room 404 it. I think it's good to have it there, actually.
I do agree. I mean,
maybe we can room 4 Google updates, and room 404 the amount of Google updates. Google update.
Yeah, I think it's different, as what I was saying at the beginning. It's like it's a lost opportunity to have a sober debate about things. But then, as you say, maybe this is, what follows is exactly that. And I love your point about bringing the SEO community together. I think that's like really something that has came out clearly. So maybe we don't 404 that, but what are we? I mean, we could 404 the actual alligators. So why don't we 404 the people who
the
are
alligators?
Yeah, the alligators.
Goblins.
Has the bad rep. He's
the bad apples. Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, that's 404 the bad apples that which I think are a minority. I think there's definitely dirty laundry in every industry. But I don't think that this is the SEO world's that I just think there's other issues that are going on with SEO that could be discussed, not the ones that this article presents really. But yeah, the bad apples, the bad alligators,
the bad alligators.
Room 404. Right. All right. Well, thanks for that. I mean, I thought that was a really good chat. And just for anybody that's watching, like, we're really open to the discussion, and would love to hear what you think. We'll continue to do the SEOs Getting Coffee. So if you'd like to subscribe, just subscribe, and we'd love to kind of have you as a part of the conversation going forward. We've now got a playlist as well on YouTube, so you can watch them all at once. And follow along. So yeah, it's been another good week of SEOs Getting Coffee with some good discussion points. So we'll leave you there. Thanks everyone. Thanks, Emina.
Bye.
See you later.